Discover the heartwarming moment a single dad transformed the CEO's paralyzed daughter's life. Mark stood outside his garage, sweat dripping down his brow as he wiped his hands on his grease-stained rag. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm glow over the bustling suburban neighborhood. With every passing car and cheerful voice drifting through the air, he felt the familiar tug of responsibility. His 10-year-old daughter, Lily, was inside, undoubtedly getting into trouble with her sketchbook, her vibrant imagination spilling onto every page. Mark's heart swelled with pride not just for Lily but for the life he had built for her, juggling long hours at the shop, keeping the bills at bay, and ensuring she never felt the weight of their struggles. But as the night rolled in, everything changed. The local charity event was a blend of laughter and glitzy lights, a celebration of the community they both loved. Mark felt out of place, surrounded by suits and silk dresses, yet his heart raced when he spotted Claire. The CEO's daughter had been confined to a wheelchair after a tragic accident, yet her piercing gaze held a fire that could melt steel. She was trapped in a gilded cage, overshadowed by expectations that loomed larger than life itself. As fate would have it, Mark's compassion filled the bustling room, and he found himself gravitating toward her. "Hey, I know this might sound strange, but I build custom adaptations for mobility," he said, his voice steady despite the swirl of nerves. "Would you like to try some out? I mean, I can show you." Words spilled out, his passion shining through. Claire looked at him, surprise mingling with skepticism. "You really think you can help me?" There was a spark of defiance in her eyes, igniting a connection that transcended their different worlds. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Their first meeting at Mark's workshop was magical. Claire tried out the specially crafted equipment, and for the first time, laughter erupted in that concrete room, a sound that felt foreign yet liberating. Mark could see a shift in her demeanor, her eyes lighting up with joy. She navigated with confidence, rolling freely, and for a moment, she was just a girl again, not the CEO's paralyzed daughter. "This is amazing," she beamed, her giggle echoing off the walls. Mark couldn't help but smile, too, feeling a glimmer of hope ignite in his chest, yet the shadow of Claire's father loomed large, his expectations tightening like a noose. The barriers of wealth and status separated them. Mark could feel it stamped on the air every time he encountered Claire's family. Their relationship became a delicate dance, filled with moments of shared laughter amidst the tension of disapproving glances. But Mark's unwavering support began to chip away at Claire's walls, showing her the strength that came from embracing her true self. As Claire stood up to her father one fateful evening, her words rang out like an anthem of defiance. "I will not be your reflection," she declared, shaking the foundations of her family's expectations. Mark, standing beside her, felt a surge of pride. But the complications of their lives were just starting to unfold. Would this bold declaration shatter the chains binding them, or would the weight of privilege pull them back apart? The community would be left holding its breath, eager to witness how these two spirited souls would reshape their destinies. As the cool breeze rustled through the trees, Mark stood beside Claire, their breaths mingling with the lingering tension in the air. Something had shifted, a weight lifted just enough for them to gaze into each other's eyes and see the potential for change. But the reality of their world came rushing back. Claire's father was not just a man of status, he wielded influence that could make or break lives with a single blink. "Are you sure you want to do this?" Mark asked, his voice low enough to keep their moment private. Doubt flickered across his face. He couldn't help but wonder if Claire truly understood the magnitude of her declaration. If she chose to fight, would she be ready for the consequences? "I've never been myself," she whispered, her resolve crystal clear. "It's time I stopped living for someone else's dreams." Mark's heart raced. Claire's spirit was undeniable, but the looming threat of her father's disapproval felt like a storm cloud overhead. After a moment, Claire gathered herself. We need to confront him, together. I can't do this alone. Mark nodded. The idea of facing a powerful man like that sent chills down his spine, yet he couldn't look away from Claire's fierce determination. I'm with you. Whatever it takes. Days turned into nights, and tension thickened like fog around their budding friendship. Mark and Claire met frequently, brainstorming ways to approach her father, sketching out their plans on napkins in the local diner, where they could almost forget the world watching them. With every pencil stroke, Mark felt a sense of partnership form. It wasn't just about mobility adaptations anymore, it was about freedom for Claire and perhaps even for himself. One afternoon, as they sat beneath the sun-drenched canopy of trees with Lily enjoying her crayons at a nearby picnic table, Claire's phone rang. Her expression soured as she answered. Mark observed her closely, noting how the vibrant light in her eyes dulled each time she interacted with something from her world. Dad, she sighed, a small shiver of disappointment creeping into her tone. Mark could feel the tension radiating from her. The conversation turned quickly, with Claire's voice rising slightly though still controlled as she argued about her own choices. It was clear that this was just a simple family call, it was an ongoing battle. After she hung up, Claire turned toward Mark, frustration coursing through her. He doesn't see me, he sees a legacy. She took a deep breath, trying to collect herself. I want to prove him wrong. It's going to take time, Claire. You're fighting an entire system, he said gently. But maybe that system isn't as strong as it seems. You're stronger. Her eyes softened for a moment, but that spark of defiance remained. Then let us show him what I can do. As dusk settled, Mark and Claire planned their next meeting with her father. They would present the work they had accomplished together, the way she could regain her agency. It was more than a presentation, it was a declaration of independence. But in the pit of his stomach, Mark felt the uncertainty rise. Would her father listen? Would he see her for who she really was? As they wrapped up their meeting, Claire grasped Mark's hand, the warmth of her palm grounding him in the midst of wavering hopes. Whatever happens, I'm ready. Just as Mark opened his mouth to reassure her, the distant sound of laughter caught their attention. Turning to the picnic table, they saw Lily beaming, sharing her sketches with a couple of new friends. That innocent joy sparked an idea in Mark's mind. What if Claire's mission wasn't just for her? What if it had the power to inspire others? With those thoughts swirling in his head, the next step loomed ahead. But would it illuminate their path toward freedom, or indeed lead them down a darker road? The uncertainty of what lay ahead was thrilling, and frightening. Are we really ready? Mark muttered, glancing back at Claire. Her eyes met his, a challenge shining in them. Absolutely. Let us change everything. And with that, they both stepped forward. Into the unknown, hearts racing with anticipation. Little did they know, a confrontation was coming that would test everything they had built together. The sun dipped low in the sky as Mark and Claire readied themselves for a confrontation that felt more like stepping into a battlefield than a simple meeting. Claire's hands trembled, though her expression was resolute. Just remember, Mark said softly, you're not just fighting for you. This is for everyone watching. Her gaze steadied on him, and in that moment, he saw the weight she carried. It wasn't just about breaking free from her father's expectations, it was about carving out a space where others like her could feel seen and valued. They arrived at Claire's family home, a sprawling estate that felt anything but welcoming. The grandeur and polished surfaces reflected a legacy Claire was desperate to shatter. Mark's heart thumped in his chest as they crossed the threshold, memories of laughter and love mingling with the air of expectation that clung to the walls. The grand foyer echoed with the kinds of decisions that transform dreams into shadows. As they waited in the formal sitting room, the silence thickened. Claire fidgeted, playing with a lock of her hair. Mark wanted nothing more than to brush away her worries, to tell her it was all going to be okay, but he couldn't shake the gnawing fear that loomed heavy in his chest. Then, the door swung open, and Claire's father strode in, an imposing figure draped in tailored clothes. His very presence commanded respect. Mark felt Claire tense beside him, her earlier resolve wavering for a split second. "Claire," he greeted, his tone measured, "I hope you've reconsidered." The word stung, but Claire stood tall. "I haven't, Dad. I need you to listen." "What you need is guidance," he replied coolly, glancing at Mark with a hint of disdain. Mark clenched his fists. This wasn't just a conversation about Claire's future, it was about breaking the cycle of control. Claire's eyes flicked to him. It was their moment. "Mr. Jenkins," Mark spoke up, trying to steady his voice. "I'm here because I believe Claire deserves a real chance to pursue what matters to her. It's time to recognize her as her own person." Claire's father narrowed his gaze, but there was a flicker of curiosity. "Is that so?" With every ounce of courage, Claire took a deep breath. "I want to show you what I can accomplish, not as your daughter, but as an individual." The air crackled with tension. Her father, ever the strategist, considered her words. "And what exactly are you proposing?" "This is us," she replied, gesturing to the work they had done, the adaptations they had created. "Together, we can make a difference not just for me, but for countless others facing challenges." Mark felt the urgency in her voice. She wasn't just relying on someone else's plan anymore, she was mapping out a future in which her voice mattered. For a moment, silence enveloped the room. Mark's heart raced, unwilling to break this fragile moment. The glint in Claire's eyes held a world of hope. Was it enough for her father to see past his own ambitions? Finally, her father's lips tightened into a thin line. "You cannot simply disregard everything that has come before you. Our family's legacy is not so easily dismissed." "But it's not my legacy," Claire challenged, her voice rising with passion. "It's time for your legacy to evolve." Just like that, the air shifted. Mark sensed movement as Claire's father considered her words. Yet, just as hope began to seep in, Claire's younger sister burst into the room, her eyes wide with excitement. "Dad! Look what I drew!" Lily held up a brightly colored picture, her innocence breaking through the tension. It was a vibrant drawing of their family, but Claire's figure within the sketch stood stronger than the others, a beacon of light amid the chaos. "What a wonderful drawing, sweetheart," their father said, softening for the first time. Mark exchanged a glance with Claire, a mix of hope and apprehension. Perhaps this was the opening they needed. But uncertainty swirled in Mark's mind. Would her father be swayed by the sheer force of his daughter's will, or would he cling too tightly to the past that defined him? Can we really change everything? Mark wondered, the echo of their earlier conversation haunting him. The room held its breath as Claire met her father's gaze with unwavering determination. "We'll see, Dad. We'll see." And with that, the foundation of their lives trembled, waiting for the moment of truth to arrive. The air felt stagnant as Claire's father considered her words, caught between the unwavering light of his daughter's defiance and the shadow of tradition and expectation that had been his guiding principle. Mark could almost hear the clock ticking, seconds stretching into eternity. He thought about all the sacrifices Claire had made to stand here, all the moments she had felt invisible under her father's towering figure. "Lily, darling, why don't you go finish your drawing? I'll be with you in a moment," he said softly, smiling gently at his daughter. As Lily skipped out of the room, Mark realized how often Claire's father shifted between softness and rigidity, a man caught in his own battles, even as he fought against Claire's independence. "Claire, you've been given opportunities that most people only dream of," he said, his voice regaining its cold edge. "Letting you run wild isn't in your best interest." Mark felt heat pooling in his chest. "Mr. Jenkins," he interrupted, his words tumbling out with a rush. "It's not about letting her run wild. It's about trusting her instincts. Every parent wants their child to thrive, right? That's what you've always wanted." Claire's father frowned slightly, eyes narrowing as he studied Mark. For a heartbeat, they locked gazes, and Mark felt a strange connection, a shared understanding of ambition, perhaps. "Your concern is admirable, Mark," he finally said. "But family means responsibility. You all have to fulfill your roles." "Then let Claire define her role," Mark urged, heat rising in his voice. "She deserves that chance." Claire reached for Mark's hand, squeezing tight in a moment of unity. "You've defined my life for too long," she said softly. "You think I want to be part of a legacy built on duties that suffocate? All I want is to show I have something to contribute, something more than just being the perfect daughter." The silence returned, thicker than before. Her father's expression shifted, a flicker of conflict crossing his face. But just as Mark dared to hope that they were making progress, the tension pulsed again, amplified by the large clock ticking above the mantel, reminding them of the time that was slipping away. "I fear the unknown," Claire's father finally admitted, the crack in his armor revealing a glimpse of vulnerability. "It's safer to lean on the past. It's how our family has survived." "Surviving isn't the same as thriving," Claire countered, her voice gaining strength. "You taught me that we must adapt to the changing world. Can you really face that challenge?" Mark admired Claire's bravery as she laid her heart bare before her father, hoping to unlock a deeper understanding. Her father looked away, his brow furrowed, struggling with this unexpected confrontation. "Family is everything," he grumbled, almost to himself, as if the very idea tore at him. "But what does family mean if we can't embrace who we are?" Claire pressed on. "Love should be about support, not control." A flicker of something that might have been understanding crossed her father's face, but it vanished too quickly for Mark to catch hold of it. Just then, Lily reappeared, her tiny hands clutching another drawing. "Look what else I made!" she exclaimed. Sunshine radiated from her innocent face, momentarily breaking the tension that had enveloped the room. Mark noticed the way Claire's father looked at Lily. The warmth there was undeniable, unguarded. It struck Mark then, the potential for change wasn't just in Claire's words, it could live in the unfiltered affection of a child. "Claire," he said softly, leaning closer, "maybe we can find a way to show him together." "Show him?" Claire echoed, her voice barely a whisper. "Yeah. Show him how you're going to make an impact." And in that moment, it clicked for Claire the direction they needed to take. But as she prepared to speak, her father wore a mask of ambivalence that left Mark's heart racing. Could a small child's drawing truly be the bridge that connected these two worlds? As Claire opened her mouth to speak, the doorbell rang, its sharp chime slicing through the fragile moment. Mark's stomach sank. Who could it be? Would it be a distraction, or an unwelcome interruption? As Claire's father turned toward the door, Mark muttered to Claire, "Whatever happens next, we're in this together." The tension was palpable as the door creaked open, revealing a figure waiting outside, their fate suspended in the delicate balance of a family's future. The door swung open slowly, revealing a woman whose presence felt like a gust of wind rushing into the stillness of the room. She wore a long, flowing coat, and her hair, slightly disheveled but somehow charming, framed her face like a halo. Mark couldn't shake the immediate feeling that she was more than just a visitor. She seemed to carry an energy that could shift the atmosphere completely. "Is this the Jenkins residence?" she asked, her voice warm and welcoming. Claire's father stood momentarily taken aback by her friendly demeanor, clearly thrown off course from the tension that had just built. "Yes," he replied cautiously, arching an eyebrow. "Can I help you?" She smiled brightly. "I'm Alex, your daughter Claire's professor. I was in the neighborhood and thought I'd drop by to see how she's doing. I heard she has some exciting projects coming up." Claire's eyes lit up at the mention of her professor's name. She straightened, perhaps feeling a sliver of hope that one more person in her corner could provide a breakthrough. Alex turned her attention to Claire, genuine interest shining in her eyes. "Hello, Claire. I can't wait to hear all about what you've been working on." Something shifted in the room, as if Alex's arrival had pulled back the heavy curtains, letting in fresh light. Claire's father shifted uncomfortably but held his tongue, clearly torn about allowing this moment of openness. "Thank you for coming, Alex. I've been trying to find my voice lately," Claire admitted, the weight of her words hanging heavily in the air. "I've seen that in your work," Alex said, her voice steady and encouraging. "You have a unique perspective that the world really needs, Claire. Don't underestimate the power of your voice, especially when you're passionate about something." Her father's expression darkened at the praise, but Mark saw something new in Claire's eyes, a flicker of determination. "Mr. Jenkins," Alex continued, turning towards Claire's father, "it's so important for Claire to take those leaps. Everyone must find their own path, and she's ready. It would be wonderful if you supported her journey. Trust me, you'll be amazed at the impact she can have." The words settled heavily, and Mark held his breath, waiting for Claire's father to respond. For a moment, his expression was unreadable, a storm of conflicting emotions swirling within him. Mark watched the clock ticking loudly in the background, serving as a reminder that time was of the essence. "I appreciate your input, Alex," he finally said, his voice clipped. "But family traditions and responsibilities matter too." "Family traditions are important," Alex replied, "but so is being true to yourself. Have you thought about what it might mean for Claire if she is unable to explore who she is outside of those traditions?" The challenge echoed in the air, and Mark felt the shift in Claire's father's stance. His jaw clenched, and he glanced at Claire, a mix of apprehension and uncertainty shadowing his gaze. From the corner, Lily's innocent laughter pulled everyone's focus. She proudly held up her drawing, vibrant colors bursting forth like a child's unfiltered imagination. "Look what I made. It's us," she declared, completely unaware of the heavy conversation taking place. Mark felt his heart warm. Lily's untainted joy could illuminate anything. Claire stood back, taking in her sister's enthusiastic declaration. "See? She believes in us," Claire whispered to Mark, a bright smile breaking through. It was that moment, as the room filled with Lily's laughter and her father's firmness faced the light of Claire's determination mixed with sweet innocence, that Mark realized the door to transformation was cracked open. Would they step through it together as a family? As Claire prepared to speak again, her heart thumping with a mix of hope and fear, Mark sensed the juncture they had reached. Would her father solidly support her or retreat into old habits? What remained unspoken hung heavily in the air, pressing against them all. Claire inhaled deeply, ready to make her declaration. Would this be the moment of truth, pushing her father to embrace a new vision of family? Claire's breath caught in her throat, the weight of her father's expectations pressing against her heart. She glanced at Lily, whose glee pulsed through the room, a vibrant counterpoint to the tension swirling around them. The innocence in her sister's drawing reminded Claire of the artistry she longed to share, of colors yet to be painted, stories unheard. "Dad." Claire's voice trembled as she began, wrestling with each word. "I want to be seen, really seen. I've been trying to carve a space for myself, and it feels like I'm fighting against a wall." Alex nodded, her presence a gentle nudge, pushing Claire forward. "You can do this, Claire. It's okay to want something different." Something flickered in Mr. Jenkins' eyes, a split-second vulnerability before he steeled himself again. He shifted uncomfortably, gazing away as if somewhere in the room he could find answers in the texture of the wallpaper. "It's not that simple, Claire. You have responsibilities to think about. What kind of future are you envisioning? Is it a future I'm meant to live?" Her words slipped out, a mix of defiance and desperation. Mark saw the muscles in her father's jaw twitch, the internal battle raging. "This isn't just about you," he replied, his tone firmer. "You have to think of the family name we carry." "Family name?" Claire echoed, her voice rising slightly. "Or Daddy's expectations?" The air grew electric as those words hung, suspended in the space between them. Every heart in the room felt at the shift, the knowing that change lurked just beneath the surface. Lily, blissfully unbothered, hopped forward. I think Claire is going to be the best artist ever. She can draw rainbows and suns and everything we love." The words, innocent and pure, sliced through the tension like a summer breeze. Claire's heart swelled, and she stole a glance at Alex, whose proud smile infused her with renewed strength. "Dad, I love this family. I want to make us proud. But I also need to express myself. If I don't start now, I may never find my way." Mr. Jenkins looked at Claire, really looked at her. Her wild heart was spilling onto the canvas of their conversation, framing a picture he'd never seen before. It was a realization that began to fracture the walls around him. "Life isn't just about following rules," Alex added softly. "It's about creating your own path." He paused, the silence pressing in around them as he considered his daughter's fervor, the brightness that she lit within herself and, somehow, the family. "You think following tradition is safer, Dad?" Claire continued, "What if it isn't? What if, instead, it suffocates who I truly am? I don't want to be trapped." The vulnerability in her voice sliced through the air, permeating even the edges of their father's fortified position. For the first time, he looked uncertain, a flickering awareness breaking through. Suddenly, Lily broke in again, hugging her, drawing close to her chest. "You could draw all of our dreams, Claire. Even mine." At that moment, the room, their bubble of emotion, seemed to expand. Could her father hear the naive wisdom in Lily's words? Could he feel the heart of the family beyond the chains of tradition? Mark held his breath as he leaned slightly closer, the weight of potential change coursing through the atmosphere like an electric current, eager to connect. "This is your chance, Claire," he thought urgently. This is the moment where everything could shift. As Claire's father shifted once more, opening his mouth to respond, the tension cracked like an open door begging to be explored. Would he plunge into a new understanding, buoyed by faith in his family, or retreat back into the familiar shadows of expectation? With hearts pounding, they awaited his answer, a fragile thread of hope lingering in the air, ready to snap into either possibility. What would he choose? Mr. Jenkins drew in a long, shaky breath. The anticipation in the room hung thick like the scent of fresh paint, every heart waiting for his reply. He looked at Claire, his daughter, her eyes shimmering with a mix of hope and fear. The light dancing in her blue irises flickered like a candle, threatening to extinguish if not nurtured. "This family name," he finally began, his voice low and steady, "it represents hard work, sacrifice. It's meant to guide us." He paused, gaze drifting toward Lily, who was enchanted by her drawing. "But does it have to come at the cost of your dreams?" The question hung in the air, unembellished and raw. Claire leaned closer, her pulse quickening. Had he just taken a step toward understanding? She tightened her hands into fists, trying to anchor the hope rising within her. "I've carried these dreams in secret, Dad," she admitted, her voice barely a whisper. "Every year, every day I followed the expectations. It chipped away at who I am." Mr. Jenkins rubbed the back of his neck, his face clouding with uncertainty. I don't want you to fail, Claire. Art isn't. It's not a stable future." Lily, sensing the gravity, interjected her tiny voice, "But it can be beautiful. Like stories in colors." Claire's heart soared at her sister's innocent belief. A warmth spread through her, and she felt a flicker of energy conquer her nerves. "Dad, beautiful can be beautiful enough. It's the joy and passion I feel when I draw, and if I can hold on to that, everything else will fall into place." Mr. Jenkins looked between Claire and Lily, a whirlwind of conflicting emotions surging within him. He seemed just on the brink of something significant, but the weight of expectations lingered close. "Can you really imagine a life where you take this path?" he asked. "What if it doesn't work out?" Claire swallowed hard, her gaze firm. "What if staying in the box you built for me crushes my spirit? Is that worth the stability?" Silence enveloped them all, cradling tensions and anxieties. Claire could hear the clock ticking in the corner like a heartbeat, amplifying each breath. Everyone held on to a sliver of hope, a desire to see possibility unfold. I never wanted to be the wall between you and your dreams, Mr. Jenkins murmured finally, almost to himself. But I thought I was doing the right thing. You still can, Claire urged, stepping forward, each word carefully shepherded. You can support me. I need your belief, Dad. Just like you believed in me when I was a kid. Just like Lily believes in me now. The light in Mr. Jenkins' eyes began to flicker, battling against doubt and fear. Mark quietly observed, feeling the weight of the moment shift, ready to provide any support needed. Could it be enough to let someone chase their dreams? Claire's voice softened. To break the cycle. Mr. Jenkins stood still, the room pulsed with expectancy. He took a deep breath, focusing on the fire in Claire's eyes and the innocence in Lily's drawing. The two worlds before him, tradition and passion, stood in stark contrast, and he realized he was at a crossroads. Just then, a loud crash echoed from the kitchen, pulling everyone's attention. Claire's heart sank as the moment snapped like a fragile thread, but before she could react, her father's expression transformed. He rushed toward the source of the noise, urgency gripping him as he shouted for help. As the chaos unfolded around them, Claire felt a mix of fear and disappointment. Would they return to the shadows of silence, forgetting the light that had just begun to spark among them? In the flurry of activity, she clenched her fists again, steadied her breath, and whispered a silent prayer for change. Little did they all know, this event would shift their family dynamic more than any heartfelt conversation ever could. What awaited them beyond the kitchen door? Would they emerge with their hearts intact, ready to embrace the change they all needed? Claire stood frozen, the hope she had felt just moments ago wilting in an instant. She gripped the edge of the table as the sound of her father's footsteps retreated toward the kitchen. The crash echoed still, a jarring reminder of the heaviness that filled the air. "Daddy!" Lily squeaked, her drawing abandoned on the table, a kaleidoscope of colors forgotten in the face of real-life chaos. Claire knelt down beside her, smoothing her hair back, trying to shield her sister from the fear creeping in. "Everything will be okay," Claire whispered, though her heart pounded furiously. Doubt tangled with a sense of urgency. What had happened? The pounding of footsteps grew louder, and Mr. Jenkins emerged from the kitchen, a wild look in his eyes. It was just the pantry shelf falling, I think. But I need you both to stay right here." Claire's breath caught in her throat. She didn't want to be pushed back into silence again. Just when they were about to step forward, he might close the door. But instinctively, she nodded, locking eyes with her sister. "Stay close, Lily," Claire said, her voice steadier than she felt. She clutched her sister's hand, needing to anchor herself. All the words they had exchanged, the hopes laid bare, threatened to crumble into dust amidst the chaos. Moments later, Mark joined Mr. Jenkins, both men huddling over an overturned box of cans. Claire caught snippets of their conversation, a whirlpool of practicality washing over the emotional moment they had just shared. "Can we get it sorted? The house isn't safe with this, Dad, please." Claire burst out, unable to contain herself. "Can't you see that focusing on the little things won't work? We were talking about dreams, about what really matters." Mark turned to her, concern etched on his brow. This wasn't just some accident, it felt deeper, a disruption of fragile understanding. Mr. Jenkins looked up, bewildered, and Claire could see the wheels turning in his mind, caught between what was easy and what was hard. You want me to choose, don't you?" he asked, his voice cracking. "Between this family and your dreams?" "No." Claire cried, exasperated, realizing how her plea could be misunderstood. "I want you to embrace both. You don't have to weigh my passion against our life together. I need your support, Dad, not your doubt." The kitchen fell into unexpected silence as Mr. Jenkins stood still, compressed by the weight of the moment. He appeared a man struggling not only with the pantry mayhem but something well beyond the crumbled boxes and spilled beans. Then, as if breaking free from an invisible tether, he stepped forward. "I don't want to lose you, Claire," he confessed, his voice barely above a whisper, coated in vulnerability. "I don't know how to let go of my fears. You won't lose me, Claire reassured, stepping close enough to grasp his hands, the warmth of connection urging him forward. "You're my dad. That's forever. But if you want to really know me, you have to trust that I can be both an artist and your daughter." Lily, sensing the gravity of their exchange, spoke up, her tiny voice breaking the tension. "And I want to doodle with you, Claire." Her face lit up with joy, a reminder that love could shine through even the darkest moments. Jenkins looked at Lily, his expression softening. In that instant, they all understood. Expectations bound them, but love could set them free. It wouldn't be easy, but perhaps taking that leap was what they truly all needed. Just then, another loud clang came from the kitchen. They turned sharply, eyes wide. What else lay hidden beneath the surface of their lives, waiting to be uncovered? What had they not seen? "Stay together," Mr. Jenkins breathed, determination blooming in his eyes. Little did they know, the next moment would be a turning point, a revelation that could shake their world yet again. What lay just beyond the corner of their lives? The room felt thick with anticipation, a silence laden with unspoken words. Claire's heart raced as Mr. Jenkins took a step back toward the kitchen, the light from the window casting shadows across his troubled face. She held her breath, sensing the air shift, the familiar chaos of everyday life steeped in a newfound depth. "Dad, wait!" Claire called out, desperation leaking into her voice. She sensed that whatever lay in the kitchen didn't just involve fallen shelves and scattered cans, it was something deeper, a tilt in the balance of their fragile world. He paused, half-turned, uncertain. The clatter of something else falling sounded from behind him, jagged and sharp, cutting through the moment. Lily squeezed Claire's hand as anxiety coiled around them both. They were caught in a fragile web of conflicting emotions: fear, hope, love. "I can't," Mr. Jenkins started, biting his lip as he surveyed the kitchen mess. "I can't just pretend everything is okay." "It's not about pretending." Claire shot back, frustration bubbling up. "Sometimes we have to wade through the mess to find clarity. Don't you see, this is more than just cans and shelves. It's about us finding a way to support each other, through everything." His gaze fell to the floor, the fight leaving him. "I've always wanted what's best for you. But I can't see it." Claire's heart ached for him, she could feel his struggle. "What if we take it one step at a time?" she suggested, her voice softening. "One small moment of trust. Can we try that?" In that moment, she realized she wasn't just asking him to open up, she was inviting him back into her life, into her dreams. They had to meet eye to eye, not just remain on opposite sides of an invisible wall. "Okay," he said, almost a whisper. His shoulders seemed to relax just a little bit, the tension easing despite the kitchen chaos. "What can I do?" Lily, ever the surprising distraction, broke the heaviness. "Can we make ice cream sundaes first?" she asked, her childish enthusiasm cutting through the intensity like a warm knife through butter. Claire and Mr. Jenkins exchanged glances, a hint of laughter lighting up their faces. He chuckled softly. "You know, I think that might be the best idea yet." Just then, a sharp crash reverberated through the kitchen, followed by an ominous silence. Mr. Jenkins turned back quickly, eyes wide with alarm. "Lily! Stay close to Claire." They all rushed toward the door, hearts pounding as they crossed the threshold into a room thick with uncertainty. Something was definitely wrong, and Claire felt the weight of fear creeping back in again, brighter this time, tinged with the unknown. As they stepped inside, the sight that greeted them wasn't what they expected. There, among the wreckage of cans, stood a familiar silhouette. It was an old family portrait knocked to the floor, the glass shattered, memories scattered like the pieces around it. Claire gasped, her breath catching in her throat. "Dad, it's us." "That photo," Mr. Jenkins murmured. His face paled as he picked it up carefully. "We've lost so much over the years, haven't we?" The moment hung heavy, filled with unacknowledged memories and regrets. Claire's eyes began to blur with tears, emotions swirling inside her. They had been so focused on what was falling apart that they had forgotten what they had once built together. "Maybe we can start building again," she said quietly, hope intertwining with her sadness. As the relevance of the moment washed over them, the question hung in the air: could they truly begin to reconstruct their fractured family, piece by piece? The dawning realization loomed like an open door, inviting them into new possibilities waiting to be explored. But would the courage to step through that door rise from the depths of their hearts? The shards of glass glistened on the floor like tiny stars, reminders of what once was and what could be. Claire stood frozen, her heart racing as she watched her father cradle the broken picture frame like a relic from the past, a past filled with love, laughter, and shared dreams that felt distant now. "Dad," Claire whispered, urgency rising in her voice. "This is our chance. We can rebuild, not just our family, but everything we represent. Together." Mr. Jenkins's fingers trembled as he examined the photo, his emotions too raw to hide. He looked up, and for the first time, Claire saw vulnerability etched across his features. "We've lost sight of each other, haven't we?" he asked, the weight of realization heavy in the air. "I've been so afraid to let go of control that I never noticed what you needed." Tears pricked at Claire's eyes, and she stepped closer, her voice steady. "It's not just about letting go. It's about growing together. I want a future where we honor each other's dreams, where we can create our own legacy, one filled with love, not just expectations." Mr. Jenkins took a deep breath, the walls around him slowly beginning to crack. "You're right. I've held on to these traditions like they're a shield, protecting us from failure." He dropped the shattered frame onto the counter, a symbolic gesture of releasing the past. "But maybe it's time to build something new." Claire felt the surge of hope igniting within her like fire. "We can start with this," she gestured to the artwork Lily had created, a vivid expression of joy and freedom. "Let us encourage our passions instead of stifling them. We can be artists of our own lives." "Artists, huh?" Mr. Jenkins said with a hint of a smile, the lines of his mouth softening. "You've always been the artist, Claire. Maybe I've just been too blind to see it." Lily, who had been watching intently, piped up, "And I want to help. We could have art shows. All the things we draw together." Her innocent declaration filled the room with warmth, wrapping it in a blanket of sincerity. Claire looked at her father and then to Lily, realizing this moment was a turning point, a chance to reshape not just their family dynamics but to pave a path for each other's aspirations. Mark, who had been observing the scene unfold, felt the spark of their transformation. He stepped forward, feeling the motion of revolution in the air. "This isn't just a moment, it's the dawn of something beautiful. A new legacy where you're all partners in creativity, supporting each other, nurturing dreams, and most importantly, letting love guide you." Emboldened, Mr. Jenkins nodded slowly. "Can it really be that simple?" he asked, almost to himself. "Trusting you both to carve your paths and not just live up to mine." "Yes," Claire exclaimed, her voice clear and bright. "We can thrive together. Let us redefine what it means to be family: support, love, and respect." Mr. Jenkins turned his gaze from the kitchen to his daughters, the warmth of revelation washing over him. "All right," he said, a gentle smile breaking through his worries. "Let us start rebuilding. It's time to create something new, something that honors all of us." Claire's heart soared. "We can work on a project together, a community art initiative that shows everyone that our differences make us stronger, that collaboration inspires awe." Lily giggled, her eyes lit up with excitement at the prospect, bubbling over with ambition as she exclaimed, "And we can have ice cream sundaes every time we finish a piece." The laughter danced around the kitchen, echoing off the walls now stripped of the shadows that had held them captive. It felt liberating. Mark glanced around, realizing they had moved past surviving and into thriving, and everyone felt it. They all soaked it in, breathing deep. As they began cleaning up the kitchen together, the air buzzed with ideas and visions of the future they could redefine. Claire tossed a smile toward her father, who was stepping into the light she had always known he could find, the light of love and understanding, and as they continued to speak about dreams and art, Each word woven from laughter and encouragement, the broken pieces on the floor felt like the start of a mosaic, a brand new family portrait, painted in love, resilience, and creativity. One that could hold all their hopes, allowing them to embrace their true selves without fear of judgment. This was the moment of transformation, where the chains of the past had melted away, leaving room for the vibrant potential of the future, shimmering bright with every stroke of their shared passions. Just then, Mark couldn't help himself. This is incredible. Imagine what everyone out there could learn from you all. We need to share this story with the world, how hope, creativity, and family can intertwine, creating a tapestry of connection and support. Let this be the legacy you leave behind, where love trumps expectation every time. And as if it were rehearsed, Claire, Lily, and Mr. Jenkins gathered around, ready to celebrate the journey ahead. They realized that what once put them in cages now opened doors wide to the freedom of living authentically. Here's to our transformation. Claire raised an imaginary glass, her heart full. To our family. Lily shouted, her laughter filling the room. And to finding our true selves, Mr. Jenkins added, his voice steady and strong, echoing the new truth they had chosen to embrace together. With their hearts united and spirits elevated, they felt the first brushstrokes of their new beginnings, crafting a brighter future, a family intertwined by love, support, and boundless dreams. Now, it's your turn to embrace transformation. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. This truly makes a difference. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting our channel through these actions.